When we start talking about strategy, especially marketing strategy, it's so easy to get up in the clouds.
Every business needs an avatar. You need your target audience, because if you go general and broad, you're not going to target anybody.
Once you know who you're talking to, you can use what we're talking about to help you determine where you're going to put your energy, where you're going to put your resources.
I be going to search on TikTok like I do Google.
I am of the generation who I see the TikToks when they make them to Instagram.
This is why we so opposite, because wow.
Welcome back. It's the consistency for me.
2024.
Happy New Year. Welcome back to a marketing podcast, okay? I'm Kayla.
I'm Angelina.
And we are back, okay? Back. Happy 2024. I'm excited about the new year. Angelina, what are you looking forward to this year?
I would say I'm looking forward to consistency, discipline, growth, and just new beginnings. What about you?
That's such a polished answer.
What about you, Kayla?
I'm looking forward to creating opportunities, creating space and making space for growth, developing, helping other people develop, and being a grown lady. I turned 30.
You've been grown. Wait, when was your birthday?
December 17th.
I didn't say happy birthday.
You didn't, but it's okay. Because I'm here.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Let me see if I have you.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to check later, though.
But I'm a grown lady now.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. But I'm a grown lady now. So, like, I got to act like one.
Big 3-0.
You know, my dog depending on me. And so I'm just
Your
trying
dog is an old man. He can take care of
I'm just trying to be the woman that, like, I need to be for my family.
All right.
You know? But aside from that, I'm really excited about all of the work we are going to do this year, especially because we have been working hard to, put together templates and put like different processes in place so that you're able to do some of this work more independently and be able to kind of figure out, some of the stuff on your own, just creating what those tools and templates look like. And so I felt like since it's the beginning of the year, everybody was talking about strategy for 2024 at the end of last year. First of all, it is not too late. If you have not done strategy for this year, it is not too late. It's never too late. But we thought it would be good to kind of talk through strategy, how we approach strategy, so that other people can kind of get a peek behind the veil, so to speak, to better understand how we do it. And, at the end of last year, we got a chance to bring Angelina on to one of the strategy projects for a client. And we were able to create a template and allow her to really come in and add her sauce and expertise and thoughts to the process. And it turned out really, really good. And so we thought it would be great to kind of go over that in real time, since that's what a marketing podcast is about, right? Like, you are learning things in real time, and then we're sharing it in real time with other people so that they can learn it as well. And so kind of wanted to go through it. But before we dive too deep into it specifically, just kind of overall, can you talk about like what your experience was like with the strategy template?
I will say that this strategy template really helped me realize, because yes, I'm a majoring in digital marketing and entrepreneurship, as you know, but this really got down to the nitty gritty that I really enjoy strategizing and being a creative. Strategy is really fun. It's literally like I would say the blueprint for marketing. So you have to have strategy or your business is going to die. So we're going to go through each one, but just to give a synopsis of the strategy template that Kayla had created, and then I just kind of went in, auto-filled some things, basically like it was like a Q&A, and I just gave answers. But it was broken up into, the summary of the business that we work with, and then we went into the goals and objectives, then the audience persona, and then next was the
buyer's journey?
Yes, the buyer's journey, messaging, and then the channels and tactics. So we're going to break down a little bit of that for you guys today. So y'all stick around and see. It's going to get a good deep dive. But what I mainly took away from this, and just to give it was just basically just strategy of how to break down your business into the back end. So that's what I got from it.
So like she mentioned, we're going to go through parts of the template kind of bit by bit because I wanted to be able to kind of share how I created some of the prompts, and then I want to be able to hear, some of her thoughts on how she approached it, so that y'all can kind of understand how we think about these things. We won't use the client's name, but it was a coffee shop, so we're just going to refer to the client as the coffee shop. But what we did was I actually had a strategy session with the client. And so I was able to, ask the right questions. And we'll probably do a whole nother episode on just like discovery conversations with clients in itself. But I had that conversation. I was able to get the information I needed from them. And so we were able to pull what was necessary for Angelina to say, hey, okay, these are the quick and dirty facts, details about this company, what they're trying to do, what their goals are. And so we were able to pull some of the goals and objectives out for her just to kind of start things off. So one of the main things was that the coffee shop wanted to, it had a lot of historical value in the neighborhood that it's in. So we wanted to highlight that. And then we wanted to increase the brand awareness of the business amongst some of the college students at a local college. And so that was really the we had facts about the company, about the business owner, about what they wanted to do. Those were the main goals of this particular campaign. And then I handed it over to her to jump into the audience persona and things like that. So let's give them a quick like summary of what the audience persona instructions were from the template.
Okay, so before we go into the audience persona, I was going to touch on some of the situation summary and goals objectives that you were stating. So basically, in the summary, Kayla gathered, and for your business as well, you're going to gather all the information for the business, and we did the coffee shop as she had stated. So you want the history of it, you want the owner, everything about them, when was it established, things like that, and just everything, what your strengths of the company is or the business, what the weaknesses is, and you want to write that all in the summary, everything you know to help you break down in this template. So I think that was very good that you had did that. And then for the goal and objectives, what are you aiming to achieve from the template, And it was very good. So do you want more attraction? Do you want more, this was brand awareness. So that's what we wanted to do for the coffee shop. But so that was good how you had set that up for me to let me know how what I'm pulling from. And then I could do my own. I did a little deep dive when looked it up on Google. I was like, this one is pretty nice. So the audience persona was my favorite part because I felt like I was doing like Sims for marketing. It was like, because the audience persona, you're creating an avatar. So every business needs an avatar. You need your target audience, because if you go general and broad, you're not going to target anybody. So for example, like Apple, their probably target audience is a Caucasian white girl who loves Starbucks. So for us in the coffee shop that we did, I had since our main objective was wanting to get an audience from an institution, which is UAB. I made like a Sims character. Her name was Zaria Smith, and she was 22 years old, and she is a entrepreneurship major and political science. So entrepreneurship and political science. And with your avatar, you want to go in a deep dive, like what they look like from the hair to the eye color, the skin tone, what do they do in their off time, like what occupation do they have, how are they financially, what do they do like with their friends and things like that. So Zaria, she was, pretty black girl, curly hair, into like student council and everything. She had a little side job at the library, blase, and she just really loved community and like knowing history. So that was just a little nitty gritty stuff, and she just really wanted somewhere that's going to be like convenient for her to be on campus. That's not too far, because our campus does already have a Starbucks. So that's good that we're creating this, because even though this avatar, we need to figure out what's going to be different from the Starbucks and any other coffee shop that's going to add value to her. This is my favorite part though, for sure.
That's interesting. This is probably one of my least favorite parts of this.
This is why we so opposite. Because why? We gonna get to what's your favorite part?
Well, no, I think only because it's so easy for me to spiral into like the details.
What do you mean?
Like landing, like choosing the details. So like political science and entrepreneurship, like I think I had kind of said she would probably be whoever it would be in those areas in terms of like the major.
Yeah.
But then like I could easily go down a rabbit hole basically.
Yeah.
Like it's fun, but it's a little too fun, and then I could just end up getting
But
lost.
you
right
are a
there.
writer though, so you would go on for days.
And I'm a storyteller and a filmmaker. So like I can't help like character development is my favorite part, and I will just get lost right there.
But have you ever played Sims?
No.
See,
But I've
you're not a
written
gamer.
film scripts, so I've created characters. But like I would like I said, I would just get lost in it, and so I don't like to do it because I'm like, we got other stuff to do. Somebody else do this part. I get somebody else to do it, and then come back and I can, So I'm glad you really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was fun.
And so we start with the persona because we need to know who it is we're talking to. I mean, if you've ever followed anything I've done online in terms of talking about marketing, I'm always talking about the audience because this is literally why we're here, right? There is something you want to get them to do or something you want to give them, or there's some exchange with these other people that's happening. That's the whole point of the business. So everything we do in terms of communication needs to focus on them. And so from like figuring out who they are, we move on to their actual journey. And so with the buyer's journey, people approach it, differently. But there are generally 5 different stages. And so what we did in the template was we labeled each of the stages, and then I asked her to add like 1 to 2 things that Zaria would be doing at each stage in the buyer's journey. So if you don't, or if you aren't familiar with the buyer's journey, you're going to be able to hear some of those steps in a second, but we'll kind of go through them step by step. So the first one is basically need recognition. Before you buy anything, you have to first recognize that you need it. And so for Zaria, what were some of the things that you had for, what she would do or what would trigger her to realize that she needed the coffee shop?
Yeah, so she is a college student. So the first thing is she needs something quick, fast, when she's going to class or when she needs in between breaks of her classes. So, and you need, and then if like she's an entrepreneurship and political science major, then she needs to have that energy throughout the day. So she needs to go somewhere that's gonna give her a boost of caffeine, but also on the side, get she can have a little quick snack, but that's also gonna be quick and not take too long for her to get her meal. But then that's on the front end, at the beginning of the day. On the back end, like where can she go to hang out with her friends on her free time, things like that. So where she could, because I know we go to like the library, but sometimes people need a new ambiance and a new spot to go to, and you don't want to be in the same place. So somewhere close to campus was really good for her. So that's good as well.
Mm-hmm. And so the next step beyond recognizing that there is a need is searching for potential solutions. And so that has its own activities within it as well. And so what were some of the things you put there?
Yeah, so for the info search, this is basically how they find how do after you do how they recognize it is how do they hear about it. So I told Kayla, or I typed it out. It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. So if you hear if Zaria hears her peers say about it, or your client hears or a customer hears that your peers saying about it, they're gonna want to go to wherever your business is, because like I said, monkey see, monkey do. So if they hear that everybody's talking about it, they're gonna be like, oh, even though it's not popping the way, if that's the way that everybody's talking about, they're gonna want to go there too. So for the coffee shop, hearing it from her peers was one, and then the other one was via social media, and looking up coffee shops near me, because that's what I'll be doing. I'll be looking up close places that I could go to, and then find it. So I think Zaria would appreciate, like, if she didn't want to go to Starbucks, the Starbucks lines was too long, then she could go here and pick up something real quick, get her coffee on the way, and especially if she's living off campus in an apartment, so she could go pick up her coffee from there.
And some of that kind of boils over into the next part of the journey, which is evaluation. So you recognize that you need a thing, you do a Google search to figure out, what your options are, and then you start evaluating those options. So what are some of the things that she would be looking at to determine which of the options she wants to try out?
So for evaluation, you want to be different from your competitors. So basically in this, so you're going to look, as I said, I will look she would look up how the reviews and stuff near coffee shops near me. She's gonna look up the reviews on, oh, is this coffee shop good or not? Is this business good for me? And then that's why it's such an asset to have a digital online presence and having that in time or in real life and online presence, because people are always looking. So yeah, looking at customer reviews and also comparing it to like the other coffee shops, like their prices, um, what their customer service is like as well. So that's what I would say that she would, her main evaluation of if she wants to go to the coffee shop or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, once she makes a decision and actually goes to one of the coffee shops, the next part of the journey is the purchase. So, what are some of the things there? And in the template, we included like how do they get there? You know, what do they do when they get there? What does that literal process look like?
Y'all know that she a college student. She could walk, but if it's like not the best weather or whatever, she don't need to be walking. And she got class, so she can walk. She got a car. She catch a ride with her friends before they go to class. And then a lot of times now, the people be on scooters. Everybody be scootering everywhere. So you good, but it be mainly boys though. But it be some girls. But yeah, you little scoot to the coffee shop, but you don't want to waste your coffee or nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
the car or walking probably be best.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say
Mm-hmm.
I eat there. So
And then the last part of the journey is the post purchase. So basically, what would make Zaria either return to that coffee shop or stick around in that coffee shop once she got there?
yeah, so for the post purchase, the most vital thing is how is the business's customer service? How is the business's ambience? Does it have a vintage or kind of new age vibe? Like that's the main reason why you want to have an avatar, because those are the type of people you want to attract, because based off what they like. And and then you just always want to make your customer feel like they're the most important person in the world, because that's one thing that's going to make them unique and different. If the business shows that I'm the most important person in the world, I'm going to want to come back. If you're treating me like every other person, I don't feel special, I'm not going to want to come back to your business.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make me feel special. And that's why I feel like that's what's wrong with like a lot of companies. Like they might have one client or have customers come and go, but they're not consistent. You have to build that community with your customers, and so that's really good. You want to make them come back and make them feel welcome and that they're a part like of a family and a community.
And so a lot of that was the groundwork to lead up into the messaging piece. But before we get into the messaging piece, I wanted to know just from the buyer's journey part, because what we did, and I'll just tell y'all, what we did with the messaging piece of the template was we took each of those same steps from the buyer's journey and we asked her to create messaging for each of those parts, right? So if we take what we understood Zaria would be doing at each of those stages, then the question was, well, what information would she need to be able to hear from the coffee shop at that stage based on what she was doing? But I'm curious, from at this point in the process, like, were you already kind of understanding why we had gone through all of that detail about this imaginary person in the first place?
I had a feeling of where it was going. I was kind of getting like while we doing like the messages and stuff, but as I got into it, the messaging and the buyer's journey, probably because that impacts the customer's experience, I would say. But I was gonna ask you why why did you put like all those in both of them, all of those parts and sections
Well, we can definitely get to that.
before I go into the messaging.
Well, I actually want you to kind of go into
Into the
some of the
messaging
messaging
before?
first. Yeah, so I
Before
can
you
kinda,
tell me why,
yeah, so I can
okay.
tie it up for you. So because it's not just you, it'll be for everybody.
Okay. Well, since we just went through all of that, I'm just gonna say like a summary of everything. So
Mm-hmm.
for the messaging, I kind of got as even though we're doing the same steps as the buyer's journey, the messaging is kind of like the slogan. What do you want to see that's gonna attract your audience to make them click on your business or want to go to it or click on the website or want to go to your business in person? So for instance, I did like for the recognition or trigger, I had said experience history in every sip at the coffee shop where culture meets caffeine. So that kind of trickled down into every the info search, evaluation, and purchase, and the post purchase. And then I got back to summarize all of that. The main one that I got was convenience specials and student friendly discounts. So that could be like one of the slogans for it. So I thought that was really fire to do. But now that I said that, you gonna tell why
Well, yeah.
it was both.
So the whole point of going through a buyer's journey at all is so that companies can understand all of the different places that their clients are. So kind of like what was that, our first episode when we were talking about like the plumbing truck, why some people advertise on cars and stuff versus like other tactics, because the whole point of marketing is to figure out where your customer is and to get in front of them. So we have to go into all of this detail about what her life is like, what she's doing at each stage of this journey, so that we can try to get in front of her. And then when we get to the messaging piece, it's what do we do or what do we say when we're in front of her that's going to grab her attention, that's going to draw her in. And so for me, I thought this was really interesting to see what you did, because I like I said, I created prompts for each of the sections, right? So like here, I was like I said, based on what you shared above in the buyer's journey, what messaging would Zaria need to hear to ensure that they chose this particular coffee shop when she was moving through that journey. And so like for example, in the info search stage, customers are actively searching for coffee shops. So she needs to know that this coffee shop sells coffee. And that may sound very simple and like duh, but you would be surprised, right? When you start looking into some of the messaging online of certain companies, sometimes they forget something that simple, right? Well, people duh, but it's like, no, if I'm Googling coffee shops near me and you maybe didn't decide to put coffee shop in the name of your coffee shop, and you aren't talking about coffee on the homepage of your website, so SEO isn't getting us there, you're not going to show up where she's searching.
Right.
And so it's important to know those things. And so for me, for this particular part of the template, it was really just that simple, right? So if we're talking about need recognition trigger, um, if we go back to what we were saying, would cause those things. If we were talking about, let's say, I know you mentioned like she may be tired, she's a student, she may need caffeine. Well, if we're just focusing on like the she's tired part, she's trying to get through her day, some messaging there would just be that caffeine can help you get through it, right? Or if she wants a place to study and she's tired of campus, messaging basically what she would need to know is that you have options outside of campus, right? So it's stuff that simple, that basic, because we like to try to, when we start talking about strategy, especially marketing strategy, it's so easy to get up in the clouds. And the way we approach it at Don G, we like to be very practical. And I think that's why we're effective, because we try not to get too caught up in the fancy stuff or the techniques and no, practically what works, like what do people do. And so from there, even with the evaluation part, which you absolutely got to, right? Like if we're looking at this particular coffee shop versus other coffee shops, what information does she need to have access to that's going to allow her to choose this one over others? Well, she's going to need, like you said, she's going to need to know what the prices are, which was another reason I really love this template. Another reason I love strategy in general, and especially collaboration, is because you called out and brought up things that I did not think about. So, like, I didn't think about pricing. And if we just being frank, it's because I'm at the point in life where if I want some, I'm buying it. I'm not, so I know coffee is unreasonably priced. So I don't even care how much it costs because I know it's too high. But if we're targeting college students, that is really key to know, because y'all are actually conscious about those things. When you mentioned the scooter, I know people ride scooters. I didn't think about the fact that she maybe could possibly take a scooter from campus to the coffee shop. But those are really, really key things to call out, because if she's on the scooter, then maybe we put advertisement near the scooter station, right? If she's conscious about prices, maybe we prioritize that in the messaging on the website. Maybe like those, because again, the point of marketing is to get in front of your customer. You got to understand them really well in order to do that. And so having your perspective on this, which is why I pitched it to you anyway, but having your perspective on this is going to be really helpful. And so then at the end of this particular section, we had basically a summary. So what the goal from this was like, are there some common themes that get pulled out, right? Or are there some high level ideas that we can make sure we want to be communicating at all times? So in this case, which is what you pulled out, right? Like the bit about the history, the fact that it is community focused, community based, but then the convenience, the specials, the student friendly discounts. Again, I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't thinking about the money part. But that's important to know if we're talking about these students.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about what could potentially be a new slogan or tagline for this coffee shop. We know that it may make sense to put some about the convenience and the cost in that. That can literally change the trajectory
We
of
balling
business.
on the budget as college students.
That's important to know. If we're targeting these college students, he couldn't use messaging that would work on me because it would probably not reach. Yeah, that's important to know. So that was why we did this, to just think about just very practically, what does somebody need to know at this particular stage so that you can pull out some of these common themes. And I think, you did a really good job here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that moved into the tactics and the channel. So this is where it all comes together.
Yeah.
Right? When you start talking about strategy, and for us, when we look at this as a template, the formula, this is where the formula starts to come together. Because what we just did was come up with the variables. So now we're putting it all together. So with the tactics and channels, the prompt was basically, what's the best way to reach Zaria based on what we know now. Looking at the journey, looking at what we said, what channels do they need to utilize, and what tactics on those channels do they need to implement in order to reach her. And so what were some of the things that you were able to pull out?
Yeah. So in your business, you should always have a long form platform and a short form platform. So your long form platforms are going to be like, your website, your blogs, YouTube, things like that. Short form platforms is Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, things like that. So I actually did 4. It was supposed to be 3, but I did 4. I kind of added 1. But I started with Instagram, Facebook. Instagram, Facebook kind of hand in hand. Facebook is more for like the older heads, but Instagram is more of the aesthetic.
I will say this though, just to throw this out there.
Even though they got Facebook marketing stuff like that.
So just a really random aside. Facebook is really popular with high school students.
For real?
Yes, I found it out. I did we did a entrepreneurship like marketing session with some students, and me and the other marketing professional, we were kind of doing this, and same conversation, right? Because they were their own target audiences, so we were asking them about, what do y'all do? What do y'all? And they were like, we go to parties, we be on Facebook.
But you have to know what
type of... not on TikTok like that. They on Facebook.
But you have to know what type of children were they.
What you mean?
Like, it's different group of children.
My point was, though, I didn't think anybody younger than me was on Facebook, because when this one started, that was the first time she ever called me old. I was trying to get her connected to a Facebook page, and she didn't even know how to log into her Facebook. She was like, I don't be on that. That's what I was.
Let's not do too much.
My point was, this stuff changes often.
Yeah.
Like, the demographics of these platforms change often. Just because certain trends start one way, they don't remain that way. And that's why you have to know who you're talking about, buyer persona journey, so that these tactics and these channels can change and be adjusted accordingly. Because of course, I saved that nugget in my head. I'm like, y'all don't, like, we were telling, these are high school students, and we were telling them, y'all need to make a TikTok. That was blowing my mind.
I don't know what high school students you were talking to.
But the point is, they exist.
They from the gutter.
No, they from What you not finna do is me and my people.
I'm just playing. That's what I was saying. You have to know, because a lot of younger people, they are on TikTok.
And it just depends on, like, you kind of what you getting at, like, what particular sect of that age group are they. And again, that goes back to know, because there is something that somebody is selling to them specifically. Right. And if they thought they was reaching them via TikTok.
How many students was this?
It started out as 2, it ended up being 4, and they all said, but here's the thing. this is why we doing this specifically about this one client, and it's why we get so specific about these avatars. We make everything very micro because everything is a
Right.
reflection of so 4 high school students who went to 4 different high schools in the same city all telling me they not on TikTok but they on Facebook. That means that there's something happening
I've heard that
in a generation that we didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And I was like, fascinating, but it made sense. They total tangent. My theory though is that because of the generation that came up in, like where were they during COVID? They were middle school students, so they are more interested in going back into local community. So they're on Facebook because Facebook is where the people you actually know are. So they get to keep up with what's happening in the streets, in the schools, which is how we use Facebook. But that's fascinating.
But you gotta think okay, I can see where you say that because every platform has a different vibe.
TikTok is much broader in its
so
reach.
Facebook, like you said, community, family, friends. Instagram, aesthetic. TikTok is more you want to laugh, you want to reach out to people more than who you know.
Exactly.
So
and these kids have circled. They've circled back in, and they wanting to get to know each other more. And I just thought that was so fascinating.
Okay.
But it made perfect sense, and I was like, okay, but like that's the type of stuff, which is why obviously we be nerding out over stuff like this. But like, so knowing that, having that kind of context, now if I'm talking to clients, this particular one, the coffee shop, we talking college students, so I kind of knew where y'all were. But like, if he had said something about high school students or those particular high school students, I would have had new insight to add. Like, if maybe if he had come to me and told me he was on TikTok and he was like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of views and stuff, but we ain't seeing a lot of sales, I could be able to say the few I've talked to.
Yeah, I would say for sales and things, that's when you go to the long form. Like, well, I feel like for a coffee shop, YouTube wouldn't it be, but TikTok is more sporadic. So you could get a lot of views on one video, but then it's not guaranteed that those are going to turn to leads. Same with, Instagram. It's about community. So it's just like, I feel like when you post on the short form platform or short form platforms, that's just getting your face, getting that recognition from everybody, because that's not going to generate leads. Guaranteed.
And let's be real, like that it generates clout that can be leveraged into sales. But to your point, if you honestly, I was thinking about that when I was talking to the owner of the coffee shop, because we were talking about TikTok a little bit too. Like, when you have something that you're selling locally, right, does it make a lot of sense to put effort into something like a TikTok where your reach is more global? Because are those people able to buy your coffee? Now, what he has found is that, and it's facts, right? If you position yourself appropriately by understanding what it is you got, who you're talking to, you can make yourself a tourist attraction, hence why we leaning into the historical stuff, because now people will travel here for it. But that's not going to be true for everybody. But because we have that avenue, then it's like, okay, well, yeah, we can make TikTok work. And again, you talking about cloud chasing, like with the girl being able to or kind of monkey see monkey do if she hear her classmates, that's very real, right? If other people outside of this city is raving about a coffee shop that's a hidden gem here, and then people here pick up on the fact that that's happening, now they interested.
But let me tell you, because I would say yes, Facebook is more for community friends, but for TikTok, it's like you said, the hidden gem. TikTok gonna keep it real and raw with you. So there's this man. What's his? You ain't gonna know him. Is his name Keith Lee?
No, I do know Keith Lee.
Okay, he blew up on TikTok trying foods, and he's viral on TikTok. And I would say one thing about TikTok, like, people that you do know probably won't know you. You could blow up on TikTok. You have 1 million on TikTok and then have like 2K on Instagram, and you wouldn't know. So yeah, like I was saying, like, it's different vibes to everything. But yeah, TikTok, I would say, can be very helpful. I be going to search on TikTok like I do Google.
And I learned that a lot of people do that. I don't do it as much. I started it with some like fashion stuff, but like, I am of the generation who I see the TikToks when they make them to Instagram.
Why TikTok they listening? They say TikTok to 20.
Look, I know of Keith Lee because I see his stuff when it makes it to Instagram. Yeah. But all of this is like the different ins and outs of the platforms that we were just talking about. It only matters and is only relevant if you know who you are targeting, which is why we did this whole first bit about the audience. Because once you know who you talking to, you can use what we're talking about, which again changes often, to help you determine where you're gonna put your energy, where you're gonna put your resources.
To get back, sorry, we got a little off topic. To get back to your question though, so the main channels that I use, he just went all over the place. So the first one before we went into a spiral was Instagram and Facebook. Mm-hmm. That was the first short form platform that I had suggested for Zaria. Next will be TikTok because, like I said, it's like a second Google. And then for my the long form platform, I did a website / blog because once you get those reviews and everything, it's gonna get traction to the website. And then like since one of the objectives was to bring more traction to and be more knowledgeable about the historical value of the coffee shop, I feel like the website and blog will be very good to that. And that's what you promoted on the short form platforms for. And then last was, it's not really a platform, it's basically in person, but I said the institution campus. Mm-hmm. So, and that was really good because since the ideal avatar or that I had created was a college student, that's good. And the coffee shop is near the institution. That's why that they wanted to do that. So it's good for them to do like pop-ups, go on campus. It's mad cold outside right now. So go give hot samples of hot cocoa to everybody and everything and tell them and educate them about the coffee shop. So little things like that to get your name out and everything. And then just building that relationship. You should always want to build relationships, like I was saying, with your customers and everything, because just make them feel special and want to come to you. Give them a reason that you're different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And so we started by identifying those channels, and then we took it a step further and started talking about what types of content you could do on those different channels. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to go into all of them, but I would like for you to share like what you had for Instagram and Facebook versus what you had for TikTok.
So for Instagram and Facebook, especially Instagram, let's focus mainly on Instagram. Instagram is more like aesthetic. Especially, it's not like how it used to be back in the day where, you just post selfie, post your friends. Like, Instagram, it kind of give off a bad vibe, though, if you're not for a business. I ain't gonna lie. But business, we talking about business. So, yeah, you can post aesthetics of the coffee shops, and what's going viral now is the reels. And to give a little tip, little trick, if you, in your Instagram, instead of posting your reels to your main page, you turn it off from posting on your profile grid, and you post it to just your reel section, and that will get a more reach to a better audience when you just post it to the reels. And if you post a reel, and it's all about consistency too. If you post a reel every day and use trending sounds and it's captivating, you're going to go somewhere with your reels. So basically, like, just since we're trying to get like the historical value, you could do things on Instagram like, giving how you making a coffee or whatever, and have like a cute trending sound in the background, like things like that. People like aesthetic stuff like that. But on the flip side with TikTok is more like personable, and even though it wants to know your authentic self, that's when you could get into like your goofy side. So if you're doing like for the coffee shop, if you were doing steps into how to, I would say TikTok likes to know the steps on how you do things. So a breakdown step on how you make not to giving away the secret ingredients or whatever, but doing stuff like that, and maybe have in the background funny story time or whatever, or something like that.
So like they would want to see the coffee being made.
Yes. I mean, you could do that on both platforms, but with TikTok, go more in depth, and then you could have like a little story, throw some comedy in there, or more personable than Instagram. Instagram aesthetic, TikTok personable.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because I think the instinct, and obviously you can do what you need to, like what works, but I think the instinct for older folks like me is to think that Instagram content and the TikTok content would be the same. And obviously everybody's experience on these platforms vary, right? Because like I've seen, like, I follow some people on Instagram, like there's this guy who cooks and he's always telling a story while he's cooking, and then it's a really funny story the way he approaches it, but then at the end he's like, oh, by the way, I made pork chops. Like he be slaying the meal, like it looked like he a Michelin star chef, but like he's telling some ridiculous story about the time him and his homeboy got to fighting. But it's like it's just so interesting to watch. But like, which is why I said I'm of the age of I'm the people who watch TikToks when they make them on Instagram, because that sounds like what a lot of TikTok is. I just see it on Instagram.
And that's crazy because Instagram wasn't always like that. They stole that from TikTok. And so now if on Instagram, if they have the TikTok watermark on there, they don't like to push it out to the audience. So they want it your reels and everything done inside of Instagram.
Yeah. And I think because originally so many people were just moving from TikTok to Instagram, those of us on Instagram who don't end up diving deep into TikTok itself, we still have TikTok expectations of some of the content. So it does end up doing well. And of course it looks amazing. It do still be aesthetically pleasing, but it still carries some of those different characteristics that you discussed. But it sounds like for some of the stuff that I'm watching, if it was on TikTok, it could be less polished than probably what I'm able to see on
For
Instagram.
sure. Yeah, that's good.
And that's all of that is really, fascinating to know. And the more specific you can get and the more tailored you can get with the content that you're posting, the messaging that you have on the platforms, the better off you're going to be. Like the more results and the more return you're going to see on that effort. And then of course I really liked the bit about the in-person and doing stuff actually on the campus of the institution. The other part too that I think we had Rachel, one of our team members, kind of look over the document as well and give some feedback. And one of the things we thought that was spot on was you calling out the testimonials, the social proof. Again, that being kind of part of the evaluation phase, but other people are going to need to vouch for this thing for new people to want to do it. And so we wanted to kind of go a step further in terms of the actual strategy, right? Because the tactics and the channels and like what types of content you can post on them is kind of, again, where the strategy comes together in terms of the plan. Like if we were taking this to do it, to implement it, or if the owner was taking it to implement it, what should they actually be doing? I feel like that's where it comes together. And so we were asking, when it comes to the testimonials, like how could you incentivize the customers to give testimonials or to share, things like that?
Yeah, so for like Zaria, for example, or for any customer, I feel like just having like little rewards or specials to make them feel or customer of the day or customer of the month, and just build, just you could think of like new things to do all the time. So you always want to think in your business, how can I be unique on top of that, and then bring traction to other customers while keeping the ones that I have. So I would say to just basically like I said, like you could have, for instance, the coffee, right? So you could have if they do like X, Y, and Z, or write a review, 5-star review, then they get a free coffee next time they come in. Or if they do if they come in consistently, if they're a customer of the month, customer of the week, then they get posted on the socials. And everybody is conceited. So if they getting posted, they'll be like, they're gonna post it to their story. They're like, oh, look, I'm on a coffee today. Go look at it. And then that's gonna bring traction to your business. That's gonna bring traction to the coffee shop. So then you're gonna go to the coffee shop's page, and then it works like that. So making everybody the main character, that's what everybody wants in their story, and that's how your business is gonna grow.
I mean, these are the facts. These are the facts. I feel very proud because,
oh my goodness,
like I have literally given that spiel to folks before. Like we have to, which is why marketing is so fun to me. But it's leveraging human beings and our natural instincts. We love to see ourselves.
Everybody wants to feel important and valued.
Monkey see, monkey do. Like, so we have to, if we understand those things, our jobs as marketers is to lean into them.
Right.
Like, how can we leverage what's already happening to our benefit? And that's why I think making this template was fun for me. Strategy in general is fun for me, and helping other people who maybe aren't in this industry understand what we do is fun for me, because so much of what you were able to pull out of this is, for lack of better terms, common sense, right? All you had to do was think about your literal life and your experiences, and that was all valuable context to pull into this that somebody else can take and use to go make money.
Right.
And so for us, what we love to do is make this easy to understand and accessible, to let you know that, it's not so, abstract in terms of the ideas that we pull together for you. Now, don't get me wrong, we are experts and we have context, like the way we just riffed about the different details on the platforms. Like those details are key, and that's a lot of the reason why we come in. But we all have a starting point in terms of trying to understand who we're talking to and how we may be able to communicate with them. And so again, a big part of the reason we did this is because I just wanted to make sure that you're able to think more comprehensively about strategy, because even if you hadn't been doing it in school, you are a strategist. All you need to know is what pieces of the puzzle you need to pull together for, because you already have, you're able to identify the variables as we've seen here. So it's like, how do we make sense of this? And I think a lot of times, like when, if you ask me a question or there's a dilemma or a scenario you have and I'm able to bring up a solution and you like, that was such a good idea. This is what I'm doing in my head. I'm able to do it much quicker because I have so much more experience. But this is what I'm doing. I'm getting to the bottom of, okay, well, what's the who what do they need, what is their motivation, what's the easiest way to get there, how do I say it to them so we get there. That's all this is. Again, adding in the context of the platforms and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, part of our magic and part of what we're helping develop in you and so many other young creators is for y'all to be able to walk confidently in that expertise, right? Like, no, yeah, I can identify a problem and put together a solution and hand it and either implement it myself or hand it off to somebody else. And understanding that it is, I say that simple, right? Because ChatGPT technically, right, if we had said, give me a marketing strategy for blah, 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 it would have spit out some stuff to us. But the most valuable part of this, again, was your perspective and the insight you had into this particular audience person. Now, as you get more experience with this, and it's literally just more experience, right? Working with other types of companies, talking to more types of people. Same way I came into those high school students and learned that bit about them. Part of our secret sauce, so to speak, is just we hold a lot of context that we can implement when we need to. So are you gonna be able to have more points of reference for different types of people, and you're gonna be able to do this over and over and over again. So basically, you don't have to be the audience member yourself to then be able to put yourself in the mind of them to figure out, and or in my case, be smart enough to know there's too much of a gap between you and whoever this particular audience member may be, that you need to either go find them and bring them on your team or talk to them. That's what market research is for. But this is why you ain't got to worry about not having no job, right? Because ChatGPT can't do that. Like, they would have given you some good ideas, but you had to, and I'm sure you used it to help you figure stuff out. But you needed the prompting here to be able to do that.
You have to have the foundation, how we talked about in last episode, because ChatGPT will just give you random stuff. But it's like you said, it's a good assistant, so it helps you, brainstorm. And then that's when you could get to. You throw out your ideas and it can like make it look smoothly for you or tighten it up.
Right.
And I think that this was a great strategy. It's really good to have a strategy template, because it's just very basically word vomiting our ideas onto one page and getting different perspective and ideas. So and then but then how Kayla was saying that you have to bring it back down to simple terms. So a strategy template is very good for your business, because you could have all this elaborate and very detailed strategy or plan, but then at the end you want to take it out and simplify it for your audience. So that's why y'all need to have a strategy template. Y'all need. That's why if you came this far in the video, you're doing good, because you're taking some value with you.
and going even further, it's also why you need to work with experts, because let's just be real. Like, this is what we do, so it's fun to us, but this may not be your jam, right? Like you baby could technically do it, but if like thinking about what other people are doing who aren't you, just that's gonna be something you struggle with, then you're gonna struggle with, even if you have a template, you're gonna struggle with this. If you yourself don't dabble in a lot of social media, for example, or you aren't super observant of those types of things, you may have this template in front of you, but if you don't have the context for it, so it's the goal here is so you understand how quote unquote simple this is, and then be able to more easily identify what you need help with, right? I hate when people are kind of like helplessly searching for help, right? Like you just assume you know nothing. I know nothing about, like a lot of people say just marketing ain't my thing. It's like you a person who has purchased something. You know something. You are a person who be scrolling on social. You know something now. Again, your ability or willingness to pull that context into something that can benefit you and your company is a different question. But I would rather you recognize that than just say, I don't know what this is. But yeah, I think, like I said, I really enjoyed making the template. I was excited when we were able to look at, what you were able to fill in. I thought it made sense to do this as an episode. And I do think that one of the other things we can explore later on is that initial strategy conversation with the client, because now that you've gone through this process, you know what we're looking for. You know how we're going to use it. You know what the end product is. So then the conversation becomes, well, how do we strategically have a conversation with them to pull this stuff out of them without, maybe directly ask some of this stuff. So I think that's going to be next. But overall, like what any other kind of major takeaways or any other questions you had about any parts of this?
I think everything's good.
Cool,
I
cool,
really
cool.
like how you had it like just me. You typed it out. I wish y'all could see. Maybe Grace could.
Nope.
I gotta pay for it.
Nope, 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 nope.
That's why y'all pay for our session.
But listen, here's the thing, and I say no. The reason I say no,
Oh my
is
goodness.
because, and we'll get into this at some other point. Or if you follow us, you should just be following us so you can stay in the know. But the work,
People don't like gatekeepers though.
well, that is literally my point. We have created an entire program for this, right? Like this is what we do in my company, but I've literally created a whole nonprofit program to train other young marketing professionals on how to do this work. So that's the only reason it's a no. Is because we
But it's okay, y'all. Y'all just go through the video and y'all could write down each point. But y'all still should come to us though because she's the expert.
hire a professional. It ain't even got to be us. My goal is for you to have a whole lot of experts to choose from. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you that what we doing over here, we gonna be transforming and developing these folks. The folks y'all like to probably dismiss as just TikTokers, they gonna be certified strategists, and then you can hire them.
I have
It
a
ain't got to be
question
me.
though. Okay, so yes, this is good. But what about the people that don't want to pay all this extra money on things that they could do themselves?
What about them?
That's what I'm saying. Like you gotta help give them. I was just asking, like, what if they don't want to pay a company or
Well, I mean, it don't have to be a company, and let's be real. Marketing services run the gambit. You at any price point, you can find somebody to do something for you. But if we're talking about a business, honestly, in personal life too, where you spend your money is where your priorities lie.
that's good. That's all I was getting at.
It just is what it is.
All right.
But yeah, like this was fun for me. Hopefully, it was fun for y'all. Like I said, I know we nerded out a little bit, but we can't help it. But hopefully, this was fun for y'all. Hopefully, you were able to pull some nuggets. If you got questions about any of it, let us know. Let us know if there are other parts of this that you would like us to go deeper into. Yeah, we can't wait to hear what y'all think. Yeah. But yeah, that's a wrap. So until next time, y'all be easy.
See y'all later, guys. Bye.